Travolting presents The Fraser's Edge. Hosted by Jeff Sweeney and Stuart Elmore. Covering Child of Darkness, Child of Light. Enjoy the episode. Welcome back, folks.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to Travolting presents The Fraser's Edge.
My audio settings have not changed.
I am so happy to hear that.
We are just plugging everything right back in and sailing off with another project.
Yes, jumping right back into it. We finished. We set our due with Travolta. I think we finished what we set out to do.
Yes,
with
we
John
did.
Travolta.
And I think along the way, we have sort of made the self-discovery that Travolting is bigger
Yes.
than Travolta.
Yes.
And
Travolting is an idea.
Travolting is an idea.
It's a people, not a place.
It's a philosophy.
Yes.
It's a moral. It's a compass.
It's
That points us the direction of where we
It's
go.
a north guiding star.
Yes.
Travolting is the star that takes us through the careers of Hollywood's finest, Hollywood's weirdest, Hollywood's most interesting.
Yeah.
And who fits the bill better to follow up Travolta than the one and only Brendan Fraser? And I want to say this right now. I want to establish this because this is a grand topic of discussion.
Yeah.
And the title of the show literally doesn't work unless I establish it.
Yeah.
It is pronounced Brendan Fraser.
Fraser. Not Fraser.
It's not Frasier. No Kelsey Grammer in here.
Yeah.
This isn't the hit TV show. No Fraser Crane. I mean, Kelsey Grammer might be in one of these movies. I don't know. But no, it's Brendan Fraser. The Fraser's Edge. The Fraser's Edge doesn't work. That just seems like the final episode of Frasier.
Yeah.
This is the Fraser's Edge because we are going to be right on the Fraser's Edge of covering these movies.
Yeah.
And Stuart is going to hold the Fraser's Edge to my throat by the final episode.
I mean, I started off the Travolting podcast, episode 1, with bring it back to the Devil's Reign, and I had such enjoyment and excitement. And I think it's only right that we go from one satanic religious movie
Yes, this is very strange.
into now the very first movie of Brendan Fraser, which is about another religious dogma.
It's another satanic movie.
It's another satanic movie called Child of Darkness, Child of Light.
But before we dive into that, I think because he's barely in that movie. He's barely in it.
Yeah.
He's in it for maybe 3 seconds.
Yeah.
In one panning shot. But it's still important. It's still his first movie. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
But I think we should use this opportunity that we're not going to have a lot to talk about with the movie to kind of set the stage for where
You
we're
say
at.
that now, Jeff Sweeney,
Yes.
but I remember very clearly what happened to the other non-appearing Joe Travolta movies. So, but we'll see.
You mean our hour and a half Welcome to Hollywood episode?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. This is true. I can't argue.
Okay, but we should talk about.
Yeah, we should set the stage for who this guy is, why we want to cover him, why we like him.
Yeah.
Or maybe we don't like him. I do, but
Yeah, I like him.
yeah.
I think most people like him now.
Yes. And that's why I think when we initially came up with the idea of doing Fraser next, we both kind of had the light bulb go off.
Yeah.
In that Travolta was interesting because he had a career arc. His was a high
Skyrocket beginning.
To the top of the mountain, to the lowest ditch, to a higher mountain, and then literally into the Mariana Trench, being dragged down by bricks on his feet.
Yeah.
With
a very thin, weak
Yes.
glimmer of hope that he might ever be able to
figure it out.
come back.
Whereas Fraser has this inverse arc of that.
Sorry, to me, John Travolta's climax of the podcast is very similar to Ray looking up into the twin suns and saying Ray Skywalker.
Yes.
I'm like, ugh.
It's like, ooh,
And I
that's
have
gonna-
no hope. But if they make an episode 10 with Ray, I'm like, I guess I would watch
Yeah,
it. But
I'm I hope it's good.
I hope it's good. But
to bring back Palpatine again.
Which is akin to John Travolta doing the Pulp Fiction dance again.
When he does Pulp Fiction 2 that he self-funds and directs himself.
But this is not about John Travolta,
yes,
damn it.
We're done with him.
We're done with him.
At least until Paradise City comes out.
Or until we cover the Poison Rose again.
Yes. we should, I'm going to say it now. We should call that episode the Poison Rose 2 Electric Boogaloo or like Hypercube or something. Like pick one of those really bad
Attack of the Roses.
Yeah, Attack of the Roses. Revenge of the Poison Rose. Like we should name it something fun
Phantom
like that.
Poison.
Yeah. But no. So what makes Brendan Fraser interesting to me is that he has that inverse arc.
Yeah.
Where he kind of like he did reach that same ditch as Travolta.
Yeah.
But he's building his way back up.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of the faults of his career are not of his control.
Right.
And so whereas Travolta's like watching a Greek tragedy, where you're like, stop doing this. And he's like, I'm doing it. And I know. With Brendan Fraser, you're like, with everything, you're like, oh, God, I was really hoping this was going to pan out for him.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be exciting to just root for this guy through his career, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. To me, that's the big question of this podcast. Is where Travolta, we were trying to ask, like, what is this guy's deal?
Right.
I think with Brendan Fraser, the question I'm coming in with is, what is it that makes him so appealing to us?
Yeah.
What is it that makes him like a folk hero? Because, he's been in a bunch of movies that we like, but there's something about him and his persona and his personality that really attracts you to it. And it comes out in his movies, it comes out in his real life. And I kind of want to examine like what that is with the show.
Yeah.
So to me, that's like what we're going in with, is figuring out, why do we like this guy so much? Is it earned? Is it not earned? Or is it just like, what makes me want to root for him?
Yeah. I 100% agree. And I mean, I'm sure everyone has their guesses and thoughts right now, but I think it's more fruitful to enjoy that process going through the journey.
Yes.
So I think, let's embark on this journey called Brendan Fraser, Jeff.
Yes. Stuart, what was your first Brendan Fraser movie? Like, what Fraser?
Here's the thing. Like, I have some memories of watching George of the Jungle when I was really little. But I think the most impactful one obviously is The Mummy.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's going to be a lot of people's biggest Brendan Fraser journey. Ricochet O'Connell just coming back. And, there's been a few other ones that, I mean, I feel like, with Brendan Fraser, he's got The Mummy, and those are like, the main ones that people know him by. But he's got some other films that I've seen, and I'm actually like, you know what? I'm kind of into this guy.
Yeah.
It didn't get great reviews, and it didn't get any notoriety of all. But in a 2010 movie, he did Extraordinary Measures, where he plays a father of sick children and he's like studying to like search for the cure of their illness or whatever. Yeah. He has a lot of really great performance moments in that, from what I remember. Yeah. Now we might watch that movie again, and I might be proven wrong, but I nothing this guy has done has like offended me from what I can remember. Yes, I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have to cover Crash on this show, which is a movie that has a questionable legacy. Of course.
Best Picture winner, but it has a questionable legacy, and we will deal with that when we get to it.
Yes.
But he's.
What about you, Jeff?
I mean, it's The Mummy. The thing that The Mummy was one of my favorite movies as a kid.
Yeah.
And I would say he's a big part of it because he's like. I mean, we'll talk about when we get to it. I don't want to put the cart too ahead of the horse.
Yeah.
But one of Brendan Fraser's most enduring qualities that I like about him is he fits into this archetype of the attractive tough hero. But he has, he has this ability to have a certain vulnerability to him.
Yeah.
And sometimes that comes out as a real vulnerability, like emotional, sadness. There's some deep emotion there.
Yeah.
And other times I think that vulnerability comes out is in the same way that Harrison Ford was never afraid to look like an idiot in movies.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford's willing to let Indiana Jones get beat up a lot.
Yeah.
Or let Han Solo be the butt of a joke.
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser has that lack of ego about his performances. He's willing to let the performance, He's willing to be an idiot in The Mummy.
As opposed to like Vin Diesel, who puts it in a contract that Dom can't get beaten in a fight.
Yes.
Right.
And Dom can like destroy buildings by stomping on them.
Yeah. And he can totally beat The Rock.
Yeah.
Totally. I can buy that on TV.
But he has this lack of ego in his performances.
I agree.
In that he'll let himself, be, he doesn't always have to be the hero. And when he lets that happen, for example, in The Mummy, lets himself kind of be the fool sometimes, it makes the emotional arc of the character shine more fully through.
Yeah.
Because this feels like a real person, and it feels like someone who you could like actually root for instead of just being like, oh, this guy's the best hero of all time. You're like, he's a person, he's a goofball, but that's just kind of covering up this emotional core to him.
Yeah.
This vulnerability that Brendan Fraser's letting come through.
Yeah.
And we don't get that in either of the movies that you and I are talking about today because he's barely in them.
Right.
But that's just kind of my initial going into point with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
Why I find him appealing.
And I also like to point out that Brendan Fraser was born in my home state.
Yes.
Indiana.
He was born in Indiana.
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yes.
And I don't know. That's just one of our quick, small little claims to fame is Indiana has Brendan Fraser. So
he was born in Indiana to Canadian parents. He has dual Canadian and U.S. citizenship. He kind of goes between the two of them. He has an uncle who's like an Olympic gold medalist. Which is cool. But that's his only real connection to the film industry.
Yeah.
He's not a child of nepotism necessarily. But he has some siblings, but it was when he was a child, he moved around a lot with his family. And at one point they settled in London for a bit.
Yeah.
And while they were there, his story is that he went to West End and he saw a play. I don't exactly know what the play is. Let me see if I can find this information. But he saw a play in London, and that's what kind of initially, attracted him to the idea of acting.
Yeah.
He was like, if those people are doing that, and that's their life, and that they're embodying these characters, that's something I want to do.
Yeah.
So he goes out and he pursues acting. He goes to Cornish College of the Arts in Seattle. Graduates in 1990, which is a year before this movie comes out.
What year was he born?
He was born in 1968. He's currently 53.
So that means he graduated when he was...
He would have been 22, which is...
Yeah, it's on track. It's on track.
That's normal age. He was initially planning on going for a master's in acting, but on one of his journeys after he graduated, he went to Hollywood and decided, why go to college when I could just try and make it here?
Yeah.
Because if you can make it here, I can make it anywhere.
Of course.
Which is a song that is not about LA. But he goes to Hollywood, and he gets bit parts. He starts being a background extra. There are several movies prior to Child of Darkness, Child of Light that we could talk about, hypothetically, where he's a background extra.
Yeah.
But, you literally cannot find him in these movies.
Yeah.
It's like Brendan Fraser, uncredited extra.
Yeah.
And I did not think we needed to do that.
Did you catch him when he was in the movie?
I did.
Yeah, I also caught him and I took a screenshot and sent it to Jeff. I'm like, there he is. We found him.
He's technically an extra in this movie, but he is credited in the end credits.
Yeah, as John's friend.
Yes. I almost think maybe he had another scene and they cut it because that's very strange that he is seventh build in this
I wonder
movie.
if he was the basketball player.
Maybe?
Because you won't see him.
Yeah.
It's very pixel. I watched this on YouTube for free.
He very well might have. Yeah, that's the only way to I could find to watch this movie. It's a YouTube link.
Cool.
But yeah, he is in this movie. I should say this is his first credited role in a movie outside of that extra period of his life.
Yeah.
Which a lot of actors start off as extras. There's no shame in that.
Of course.
It's a way to get it out there. And then he gets this role as John's friend in Child of Darkness, Child of Light, his first movie that we will talk about.
It came out in 1991.
Yes.
Exactly 1 year after he graduates from Cornish.
Yes. Which means he presumably shot this almost immediately after he graduated.
Pretty much.
Probably he graduated May of 1990.
Yeah. Had to shoot it the next month or so.
Goes to LA in the summer of 1990.
Gets picked up as an
does
extra.
Some extra work. Eventually finds his way onto the set.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is necessarily what pushes him into being famous.
Oh, no.
It's not this is everyone's you got to see this kid in Child of Darkness. He's in one shot.
But he's so good in that one shot, man.
He's phenomenal in that one shot. Believe me, you won't believe it.
Yeah. Cool. So I mean, I think that we're pretty much well caught up to speed.
Yes.
In terms of where he's currently at in 1991 with Child of Darkness.
Yes.
He is not a child of darkness, though.
He's a child of light.
He is a child of light.
But in this movie, he is neither, because he is a person.
Yeah.
He's not one of. He's one of the mere mortals.
Sure.
In this movie, that definitely exists.
Let's about to start my favorite part of the podcast, Jeff.
Yeah.
Are we about to get into the movie?
I think we're about to get into the movie.
All right. Let's get into the movie.
Yes. So yeah, it's a movie. It happens. Thanks for listening.
Child of Darkness, Child of Light.
Yeah, no. It was exciting to crack open this notebook again.
Man.
I wrote in big font Fraser's Edge.
I did not take notes on this movie.
Oh, Stuart's raw dog in this show.
I think I'm gonna be raw dog in this podcast a little bit.
Spicy.
So yeah.
I'm definitely at the beginning of at Travolting, I was taking like 2 or 3 page notes. I'm definitely settling into less now.
Yeah.
Just pointing out very specific things I want to talk about.
Sure.
Rather than be like, this happens, then this happens. He's like, I watch. If I'm doing that, I'm not watching the movie, and then if I'm not watching the movie, I'm not going to remember it anyway.
Right. Exactly. So we start off with a priest driving.
Yes, we start off with a priest, Father Rossetti. Is that correct?
I don't know.
I believe it's Father Rossetti.
I don't remember any of the names in this movie.
I don't think anyone remembers this movie.
No one does. It was a TV movie.
So, yeah, this movie, Child of Darkness, Child of Light, is directed by Marina Sargenti, who's a television director. She did some episodes of Xena Warrior Princess and Models, Inc. Looks like that's basically her claim to fame. It doesn't look like she's really worked since 2005 when she was in a documentary called Stephen Tobolowsky's Birthday Party. Which is Stephen Tobolowsky, great guy. I'm glad he had a good birthday. Glad that he filmed it and sent it out there. But she directed this. It's based on a book by James Patterson called Virgin. Okay. Yeah, it's a James Patterson story. James Patterson, who has not written
airplane novels,
who's only written one book in his life. It's not like he writes 7 books a year, and has them all ghost written and wrote one with Bill Clinton.
Whoa! Seems like you got a little story there, Jeff.
James Patterson's just very funny because Stephen King has I love Stephen King, and Stephen King has such a beef with James Patterson.
Yeah.
Patterson, I'm going to show you this list right now. Look at how many books he's written in this one franchise alone, in the Alex Cross franchise.
Oh my!
There's 29
God.
books. Look at all these books this guy has written. Do you think one man is able to write all these books?
Of course not.
No, he definitely has them all ghost written. Anyway, this is based on one of those many books that he probably spent a brief Sunday afternoon sketching a plot for, and then had someone else write it.
Yeah.
And it's a television movie. It's not a feature film. Fraser's first feature film will be Dogfight, which will be our next episode.
Yeah.
But this is a television motion picture.
Yeah.
And it was shot in Portland, Oregon.
Mm-hmm. On a potato camera.
Yes, on a literal potato with a lens on it. No, like we said, the only way we could find to watch this was on YouTube, and it's clearly ripped off of VHS.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the upper left-hand corner, literally has the play thing appear at the beginning.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because someone just clearly recorded this in 1991.
And no one cares to take it down.
Yes. Because, who has the time to file that copyright claim on YouTube?
And who's actually claiming royalties off of this movie right now?
James Patterson, probably.
Maybe. So yeah, a priest is driving.
Yes.
Father Rossetti's driving somewhere, and then he gets attacked by these 2 motorcyclists.
Yes, he gets attacked by black-clad motorcyclists.
And, my first thought is, these guys are attacking a priest. Are they part of a satanic cult or something, or what?
He gets knocked off the road.
Yeah.
He survives.
He survives.
And he manages to have one of the flip one of the bicyclists over.
Yeah.
Off a cliff. It's very funny.
The whole thing's shot like a student film.
Yes.
You can clearly tell when the motorcyclist reaches in through the driver's side window that the car's not moving, and the dude's literally just balancing himself or something on the window, and that's all he's doing.
He's like, ah! And, have a fan blowing at him.
Yeah.
I do want to say I was expecting this movie to just kind of be dull. I was not expecting it to be quite so filled with car chases for a movie about.
Was it filled with a lot?
There's like 2 or 3 car chases in this movie. They're not good car chases. They're not exciting. But I do have thoughts on this later.
Okay.
They'll get to.
All right. We later find out, the Father Rossetti is in like the hospital wing in the Vatican.
Yes.
Some shit like that. And that's when we get introduced to another priest.
Yes, Father Justin O'Carroll.
Justin O'Carroll, played by Tony Dennison.
Who sounds so much like William Hurt in this movie. It was really throwing me off. Every scene he walks in, he like has the kind of Will Hurt. I can't do the voice, but
I get what you're saying, though.
He has that and I could be like, is part in this movie? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I do want to say Tony Dennison. Do you know who he has played? What famous character he has played at one point in his career?
Let me guess. Bill Clinton?
Yeah. No.
What? Who?
In 1994, Anthony Dennison, the lead of this movie, played a John Gotti in the motion picture Getting Gotti. I just had to say it.
Well, it's a good thing that this podcast isn't related to in any shape or form.
Why would I talk about Gotti?
Right.
We exorcise those demons, much like they exorcise the demon in this movie, bringing us back to it.
Yeah.
Father Justin, he's at the Vatican, and he's checking in with Father Rossetti. And Father Rossetti's like limp. He's like a vegetable. He's in a wheelchair. He doesn't speak. He doesn't do anything. And they're like, "We think he was attacked. We don't know who did it."
Who would have wanted to do this?
Yes, to a priest.
Not a satanic cult.
Yeah. But they're like, "We have discovered there might have been a virgin birth in Pennsylvania. That's what he was going to find out." So.
And she might be carrying the second coming of Jesus.
Whoa! Whoa. This movie really kind of brushes that fact aside.
It's all about, they try to, investigate whether she's truly a virgin or not.
Yeah.
And they seem to have a really hard time believing it.
Yes.
Because of, yeah.
Because I don't know if it's the Pope or just a cardinal, but he kind of fills in Father Justin. He's like, all right, here's the deal. Father Rossetti was on his way to Pennsylvania to check out the reports of a virgin birth.
Yes.
He did not make it. We need you to go. And Father Justin's like, why am I investigating a virgin birth? I mean, besides the obvious, why do we think this is potential? And they're like, do you remember the miracle that happened 40 years ago?
Oh, yes.
And I was like, and he's like, of course, everyone knows about that miracle. And I'm like, well, I Googled it, and it's not a thing that ever happened. It's not even in the Catholic Church they talk about this. It's just they made it up for the movie.
Okay. I don't even remember that part.
Yeah, they're like, they got this. The Virgin Mary came down. She handed 2 sealed letters to us.
To us?
Yes.
Who's us?
The Vatican.
She went to the Vatican?
They met her somewhere.
Convenient.
Yes.
She didn't go to
2 sealed letters.
Danbury, Missouri.
She handed us 2 sealed letters. 2 letters.
Was it like...
They had a little scotch tape on them so it didn't open up by accident.
Is this the Vatican? No, you're in Fredericksville, Missouri.
Virgin Mary's like, shit. Wrong place.
The transportation device didn't work again, Scotty.
Gabriel, you fucked it up.
Come on. Then she goes again, and then finally in the Vatican.
But she made it, and she handed them 2 letters. And the first one was to be opened in the year 1990.
Okay.
And they open it. And it says, there will be
2
virgin births.
Yeah. One will be carrying
the child of light,
and the other will be carrying
the child of darkness.
Yes, the second coming of Jesus and the Antichrist.
Yes. And so we need you to go investigate this this virgin birth.
Thought. What's their plan for when they find out which one's carrying which?
I mean, they do it at the end of the movie.
Do they?
They burn that fucker alive. Yeah, that's
but the ending of the movie though. The ending.
Have you ever asked the question? Have you ever heard the question what would you do if you could go back to baby Hitler? That's what this movie is. That's what this movie is textually about.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a little messed up.
It is a little messed up. It's very messed up.
So they're like, there's another letter, and he's like, can I open it? And they're like, no. Okay. They'll open it later for him as a treat.
It's a treat.
This is maybe already the least exciting movie I've ever watched. It's so unexciting.
I'm trying to think of even Dumb Waiter to the Basements is a little bit more exciting than this one.
Because there's not even a good there's no I mean Stella Ward's fine. I like her. But for the most part, there's not like any actors of excitement in this movie. So he goes to Pennsylvania, Father Justin. He meets this girl, Margaret.
Yes.
And he's like, all right, I'm going to begin the investigation if she's a virgin. And he asks her, are you a virgin? And she's like, yes.
All right.
And he's like, case closed.
Case closed, guys.
He goes to her doctor, and her doctor's like, I don't believe in you priest guys. He's like, well, you say miracle, I peddle in fact. And the priest's like, is she a virgin? He's like, yeah, I tested. And they're like, okay, case closed.
Well, this scene is so weird because it's like, let me put it this way. She's intact.
Yes.
And I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, the girl hasn't even masturbated. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It's so weird.
I don't think they understand like anatomy and shit, but I don't know.
Meanwhile, there's a crow.
You can definitely tell this was written by men.
Yes.
You don't know things.
It is directed by a woman, but which I presume makes it better than the worst version of this.
Probably, yeah. I mean, the title of the book is Virgin.
Yes.
So
the tagline for this movie is a holy miracle and unholy terror. Miracle is misspelled on the poster. Anyway, so I'm gonna kind of just speed run through this plot a little bit because why? There's not enough time in the world.
Okay.
So they determine that she's a virgin.
Yes.
And that she's pregnant. Great.
And she goes and stays with them at this convent.
She's staying at a convent.
Yeah.
And so the priest kind of stays there with her for a little bit.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's a crow that's been following him around and like apparently causes evil miracles. What's a bad miracle around her?
What's a bad miracle?
What's a bad miracle?
Oh, is it when the guys bully her?
Yeah, like the bullies and whatnot.
I don't know what the other one else is happening.
There's like a guy in a black suit and a hat who keeps appearing. We find out at the end who it is. But like you're led to believe it might be Satan.
Jesus Christ, Jeff, you really watched this movie way better than I did.
I watched this movie like 2 hours ago. So it's
I watched this movie like a week ago.
Yeah.
And I don't remember anything.
But he's being followed by who we presume is Satan. Anyway, he determines she's a virgin. He goes back to the Vatican. Is like, all right, she's a virgin. And they're like, all right, you're going back.
You're going back.
In Boston, we've determined another one. You have to go determine if she's a virgin and then figure out which one's carrying the child of darkness and which one's carrying the child of light. We're sending you help, though. So they send him to Boston, and he meets up with Selah Ward,
Sister Anne.
The
only good thing about this entire movie.
She's good in this.
She is really good in this.
She's really good in this. Selah Ward, who I mostly know from, she's in The Fugitive.
Yeah.
She's Richard Kimball, Harrison Ford's wife, who dies in the opening scene of the movie.
That he didn't kill.
Because he didn't kill my wife! Man in my house! Okay. She was also the president in Independence Day Resurgence. But she's mostly settled in as like a TV movie actor.
Yeah.
This is one of those. But she's really good in this. I liked her performance. She gets the and credit, which is deserved because she's maybe the one good performance in this.
Oh, she plays Stacey Warner in House's ex-wife.
Yes.
And she's really good. And she's in The Day After Tomorrow. She's in a good stuff. She really went out for this movie that she did not need to.
Yes, she's putting the work in.
She's putting the work in. And it's like, listen, Selah Ward, no one's watching this movie.
Yeah.
I hope you really could have just like half-assed that.
Yeah.
And it would have been fine for your career probably. But no. She
doesn't take sick days is a way to say it. She's not taking any sick days.
Wow, Jeff Sweeney. She doesn't take sick days.
You like that?
I'm gonna coin that term.
You like that?
I'm gonna take that term and take it to the bank.
Let's put it in the bank.
I'm gonna put that one in the bank there. She doesn't take sick days. I'm gonna use that expression. It's like, we're not taking sick days on this podcast.
We'll use it when we start back work this week.
Oh my God, where we will take lots of sick days.
Yes.
Can I fill that in for the audience here? So, like, little context, folks, is we've been doing Travolting, the first podcast, sort of in tangent with Jeff and I's job.
Yes.
And we work for this like big network show. I don't need to get into the specifics,
yes.
And it almost happened purely
by coincidence.
By coincidence that we finished this podcast right as we finished the season.
Yes.
And again, not getting into specifics, like it's a long show, so the show shoots for like 10 months and then it takes like 2 months off. So it just so happens that we like took our like little sabbatical for the season 1 and season 2 of Travolting.
Roughly the same time we were off from work.
And so now we are recording this first episode of season 2, Fraser's Edge.
Yes.
Like the day before I at least go back to work. You don't go back to work, but I
mean, I should be there.
Oh, are you coming tomorrow?
Oh no, I'm not coming tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh yes, I forgot you start tomorrow.
I start tomorrow. You don't start tomorrow. You start Wednesday.
Hypothetically, I still need to know exactly.
Right. But it's just so funny that we are recording this literally like the day before. Like we go right back into work for this big show.
Yes.
It's almost like here we are. It's meant to be.
We're back at it. It feels like we never left.
Forget about doing this podcast in a time of our lives where we're not busy.
Yes.
We want to actually squeeze the hours out of us.
We want to use them all up.
Use them all up. That's what we do. Okay. Anyway, speaking of not taking any sick days, Cell Award.
Yes, Cell Award. So they go to Boston and they meet this girl, Margaret. Who apparently the rumor is that she actually did sleep with this guy.
Who is? You know who he is? You know,
he really seemed familiar.
And come on, Jeff Sweeney.
I did not want to put any effort.
It's Josh Lucas.
It's Josh Lucas?
Josh Lucas, who plays John L. Jordan III.
Shit.
This is the guy from the Eric Bana Hulk who was like, stop, I need a sample. It's like this.
It is. Oh my God.
And it's the same guy, Leo Ford from Ford v Ferrari.
Yes.
Literally that dude.
He was in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What else have I seen this guy in? I've seen
Sweet
him in
Home Alabama, Glory Road. He was in
I saw him in something just recently.
Ford v Ferrari.
I mean, Ford v Ferrari, yes, and Hulk. I also maybe it's just Hulk. I think it's Hulk.
Well, the Eric Bana
it's the
Hulk?
fucking Weight of Water, the Catherine Bigelow movie that doesn't exist.
The Weight of Water.
Don't bother. Life is too short.
Well, he was in Space Warriors as Colonel Roy Manley.
I can't believe when I was watching this, I was like, I recognize this guy. Where do I recognize him
He's
from?
in J. Edgar, the Leo DiCaprio movie, The Lincoln Lawyer. It's weird because like Josh Lucas is an interesting actor.
Yes.
You might say this is the Lucas cast for a second.
Yes.
So this dude... Oh, nope, not that guy. I'm trying to get back to his.
He's one of those character actors who just kind of pops up in things. And you're like, oh, that guy.
And if you look at his, like, IMDb, like, he's in a lot. He has 81 credits.
Yeah, he's consistently where he's a working actor.
Yeah, and it's like, I would say, like, 60 of those movies are, like, movies you probably never heard of. Oh, there goes my vape. Don't vape, kids. It's unhealthy for you. And so, yeah, 60 of those movies are like no-name films or TV shows. But then every once in a while, he pops up in a movie that's like, what's the fuck's he doing here?
He's one of those working actors.
Yeah.
Which is maybe my favorite brand of actor.
And he can give you a really good, annoying villain.
Yes, he's great in Hulk.
He's great in Hulk. And I'd say he's great in Ford v Ferrari.
Yeah.
He's a little over the top.
But I mean, like, that movie's just over the top. I like Ford v Ferrari, but that's a little over the top movie.
And so he fits the bill of over the top.
He didn't take sick days, and
he didn't take sick days.
He read the assignment.
He understood the assignment.
Yes. He logged on to Canva or whatever website colleges are.
Canva.
What colleges?
What the fuck? No, you're right. You're absolutely right. It is Canva.
Yeah, isn't that what the kids use now?
Yeah, it's Canva or like Blackboard.
Yeah, he logged on. He read the assignment. He turned it in on time.
Oh my God, Jeff, Sweeney.
We love Jeff.
We're getting back to school.
Josh Lucas. In this movie, I'm glad that you pointed out who he is.
Yes,
so I could recognize him.
And he plays John L. Jordan the third.
John L. Jordan. That's it.
John L. Jordan the third.
Yes.
I only know that because Brendan Fraser is credited as John's friend.
Yes. So they go to interview Josh Lucas. And he's like, yeah, I slept with her. So what? that's literally the tone of that scene. He's like, so what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knocked her up.
Josh Lucas, 1991.
And it's like, okay, dude.
It's like, and she even says it. Cell Award even says, like, why are you being so sour about her? It's like, I got a reputation to uphold, you know?
And then Kathleen's like, I didn't sleep with him. He'll say that he did, but I didn't. And they're like,
It's like he tried. He got all rapey with me.
Yeah,
but
he attempted to, but he failed.
Yes. He couldn't get it up, I think is what she says.
Yes.
He was struggling.
I do want to say there is a great line in this movie around this point where where Father Justin's talking to somebody about like verifying the facts of the matter. And he says, and they're like, what happens if you can't prove it? And he's like, well, if we do anything and we can't prove it, the press would make an untidy meal of us and the church would suffer the indigestion.
Oh.
Which is a fun line. The one fun line.
Interesting. Followed in the movie of She's Intact.
Yes.
It's very strange.
And also, while I'm watching this, like, around this point, Kathleen, like, wakes up at night, and, like, there's just noises, and there's a crow in her house, and she gets locked in a room at one point with a bunch of birds.
There's a lot of strange things that happen around both women. That's the thing. It's like, you would think, like, the woman who's carrying the child of darkness has, like, evil things happening around her.
Yeah.
But the woman who's carrying the child of light, she, like, heal people or do some cool shit. It seems like both women have, like, demons following them around.
When the ending kind of establishes which one's carrying what, it makes sense in that to the first girl, Margaret, who at the end is carrying the child of darkness, plot twist. She's having a lot of evil things happen around her, but never to her. Like the bullies die when they attempt to hurt her.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Kathleen, all the stuff is happening to her. She's being attacked by dogs and birds and shit.
Yeah.
So there's kind of that dichotomy going on, but, you know, you're led to believe they're both having bad things happen, so you can't tell.
Right.
Around this point, like, she wakes up at night and she gets attacked by something, and I, earlier in the day, had gone into my office, and I closed the door, and I didn't close it all the way. And I thought about it at the time, and I'm like, that's whatever. Right as this scene happens and, like, Satan appears in the room, my door blows open. I was like, ah! I mean, I remembered that I had not closed it all the way earlier.
Yeah.
So I quickly was like, okay, the wind just blew it up. Like the air conditioning just blew it open.
Are you sure about that?
If I had closed it all the way and that happened, I would have been a little bit like, okay. But I specifically remember not closing it all.
Folks, watch Child of Darkness, Child of Light in your room.
And let us know if the doors...
At the middle of the night, alone.
I would say if you're going to watch a horror movie in the middle of the night, this is probably the one to do it because you will just fall asleep. And
honestly,
you're not going to have a problem.
You're going to have a great night's sleep.
There's nothing spooky in this movie.
Right.
This is horror movie in name only.
Yeah.
But yeah, so while they're in Boston, we cut back to Michelle or Margaret in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. A bunch of bullies come to her house and they climb on the roof and like do a mock hanging outside of her window.
This scene didn't really make sense to me.
And then,
like, if you thought,
and then it turns into a real hanging, and then they all fall into a greenhouse and get impaled. Because,
like, yeah, if they had thought one step ahead of what they were doing, they would have found out. Oh,
bad idea.
This is not a good idea, guys.
Hey guys, you know,
hanging ourselves.
Don't mock me.
Over a garden.
I'm starting to think hanging ourselves over a glass enclosure maybe not the best idea. Maybe it doesn't have all the Fruit Loops in the bowl, you know?
Oh, Johnny P is trying to take a sick day, boys.
But no, the kid fucking hangs himself by accident and they all fall in the greenhouse.
Yeah.
And she's like, no! Because Satan's protecting her from these guys.
Because she's the one carrying the child of darkness.
Yes.
Margaret.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we cut back to Boston. Satan starts getting into Sister Anne's head, and she starts having visions about having sex with Father Justin.
Yes. This is where Sailor Ward actually kind of like delivers.
Yeah, she's really delivering it.
Yeah.
She's really bringing home the bacon. I'm just going to try and throw as many of these sayings in these episodes now.
Just because it's so undeserved.
Yes.
Like, this movie did not deserve Sailor Ward.
When we get to the Mummy, I'm just going to be like, yeah, he's good. It's fine. But then the bad movies, I'm going to be like, you know, the thespian quality. But no, she starts having visions of having sex with Justin. She starts
having sex dreams.
Yes. And then she walks into the room once with all her clothes off.
Yeah, completely naked.
Yes. And then one night, Satan kind of shows his hand and takes possession of Kathleen's, like, maid or housekeeper, who comes at her with a knife. And then Kathleen manages to, like, throw her off a roof.
Yeah.
And then Justin comes in, and you think he's there to help and save her. But then from the ground below, you hear, "Stop! That is the Satan!" And Father Justin's revealed that he's Satan all along.
Oh, my gosh.
And Father Rossetti faked his brain injury so he could follow Father Justin and catch him in the act. and then he summons lightning and zaps Father Justin.
Oh yeah, I did remember this. He
who explodes.
He calls upon the power of Thor.
Yeah, and he zaps him.
And zaps the motherfucker.
Yeah, and Father Justin dies.
Satan dies.
Yes, Satan, who had taken
Satan,
his heart.
who was possessing Father Justin.
Yes,
because Father Rossetti, the Palpatine lightning attack. And it's literally what he does. It's like, by the power of Grayskull, unlimited power.
Yeah. I wrote in my notes at this point, ha 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 ha. Just so you know.
The effects were really bad, but hey.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny.
It gets the point across.
This is the part of the movie that I'm like, okay, I can watch this.
That's the part you say you can watch this?
Like, here's the thing. When watching this movie, I was like, if there's going to be any of these Christian faiths that are like 100% actually true, I want it to be the one where there's priests having car chases with demons and shooting lightning at them.
That is pretty
That's
sick.
At least cool.
It is kind of cool.
It's poorly done in this movie.
Yeah.
But the concept of it is at least cool.
Yeah, right.
And so I like watching it. I'm like, yeah, he's chasing him. He's chasing Satan in a 1992 Chevy.
Because then, not Father Justin, but is it Selah Ward?
Yeah, Selah Ward, Sister Anne, goes to Pennsylvania and steals Margaret and the baby,
or she steals. Yeah, she kidnaps Margaret and the
who's
baby
in labor.
Yeah,
and then she gives birth, and
in the
Sister
car.
Anne's like, "It's the child of darkness." It's like, yeah, we never see the child, but it apparently looks grotesque.
It's the Rosemary's Baby thing.
Yeah,
where it's it's off screen. We don't actually see what the baby looks like
because that's more terrifying.
Apparently,
hypothetically, in terms of film, it should be more terrifying.
Can we agree that trope is kind of over now?
I wouldn't say it's over. It needs to be done tastefully.
The whole but the imagination is scarier than what we can create in film, and I'm like, we can create some pretty scary shit right now, man.
Because I think the good version, the good executions of that are Jaws. Like Jaws, by fact that the shark didn't work for most of the shoot, they have to not really show it much, which makes it scarier when you finally see it.
And it makes sense.
It's all about restraint.
All you have to do, it's if you make the camera the shark's POV, and because it's the shark, and so it's underwater, which means it's hard to see the shark, which means it makes sense that we don't see the shark that often, but all we do get is the vibe and the feeling that the shark is approaching closer, which heightens the tension and suspense. But I don't think if you're purely hiding something, if you're not showing something on camera because you think the imagination shock value will be better, I don't necessarily agree with that. You have
to really pull it off well.
Like people who say the shower scene in Psycho is so horrible and grotesque because we don't see any we don't see the actual stabbing. We just see the knife and her and all that stuff, and we see some blood drip on the floor. And for the 60s and back then, I can imagine that being. But if you show that to today's audience, and then versus show them a scene from Saw.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but Saw's going to win every time in terms of what's more gross and more shock value. Just in terms of what we can do nowadays. Yeah. So
there's a certain elegance to doing it well. Blair Witch being, I think, a great example, and that you never see the witch.
Yeah, well, maybe.
I mean, I don't love Blair Witch. It's a good movie, but it's not my favorite. But I think there's ways to do it well. This movie does not execute that well.
No.
Because you don't see the I want to see the little demon baby. I'm sure I want to see it. I want to see what it looks like.
I'm gonna take that audio clip and save that in my archives of Jeff. I want to see the little demon baby.
I want to see the little demon baby. For real, if you're making this kind of movie about a demon baby, when it finally pops out, I want to see it. Yeah, but they don't show it to you because they probably couldn't afford to make an animatronic.
No,
or something.
And it's also we need to see what the differences between the Child of Darkness and Child of Light are. Otherwise, how do you know?
Because we see the Child of Light and it's just a baby. It's a little baby.
Yeah, that's it.
So Sailor takes the baby and leaves Margaret dying in a field.
Yes. And she dies.
Father Rossetti chases after Sister Anne and the baby.
Yes.
And manages to get into a car crash and flip them both over. And the cars are leaking gas, and he lights the gas on fire and kills himself, but also kills Sister Anne and burns the little demon baby alive.
Yes. Troublesome? Yes.
A little.
They
just... See, if they had shown us what this little demon baby looks like, him burning a child alive would have been like maybe a little more palatable.
Yes.
Not like a lot, but if I like just like.
But also, like I think about Hellboy.
Yes.
Could we not have raised his demon baby to fight for good?
We should have.
I feel like that was the thing.
Yeah.
That could have been a thing.
No, but Father Rossetti says no. He burns.
The child must die.
Yes.
Okay.
And then that's how the movie ends. Oh no, it isn't. There's one more scene.
There's one more scene. This is what confused me the most.
Yes. This scene is very confusing. It says 10 years later.
Yes.
There's a bunch of little 10-year-olds coming out of a
school. There's an old lady crossing the street.
Yes.
And she gets...
Well, first we see a little boy stop, and he looks, and his eyes turn red. And then the old lady gets hit by a car.
Yeah.
And we're like, they killed their own baby.
But then... You see this blonde girl.
Yes, and she looks at the old lady dead on the ground, and she glows gold.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And the woman comes back to life. She's the child of light.
Child of darkness.
And then it freeze frames on her glowing angelically, and then the credits start.
So, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, I want to know, because we killed the child of darkness, so why was it in the last scene? And why did it not look like a little demon? Is Satan just possessing this other child in battle with the child of light? I don't really know, nor do I particularally care.
But you know what we skipped?
We skipped Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser.
We skipped him being in this movie.
Yeah. No, there's a quick scene where they say, we got to talk to John.
Josh Lucas.
Josh Lucas, Margaret's boyfriend or Kathleen's?
Kathleen's boyfriend.
We got to talk to Kathleen's boyfriend again.
Yeah, so they go to a lacrosse game that he's at.
Yeah.
And he starts bleeding from the mouth.
Yeah. And he passes out on the ground.
Yeah, and he does die.
Am I going to die? And he's like, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. And then there's a shot that pans around and gets reaction
of
the lacrosse team players. And one of the players we see is none other.
Fraser.
It's Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff is pulling something up from his phone.
I am just looking at the picture you sent me.
Yes.
Of him. So there he is, looking all sad and shit.
Looking all sad and shit. Yes. He's got some scraggly hair in this. It's got some longish scraggly hair in this.
You know it.
Jeff, I think it's time.
Are you doing it?
I think it's time.
Are you doing it?
That we bring back.
Are you doing it? He's doing it, folks. I think he's doing it.
Cue the hair ranking. Welcome to the hair ranking for Fraser's Edge, baby. Bringing it back.
All right, here we go. I got the picture up.
Okay, so I mean, just put it on the list because it's the first one. It's gonna be number one.
Just put it on.
Just put it on the list.
All right, Fraser's Edge hair ranking.
Okay, in actuality, though, folks, like I'm doing this for this first episode, but truth be told, I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do for Brendan Fraser because here's the thing. Not to keep bringing up John Travolta, but to bring up John Travolta, the hair ranking was so quintessential to his person.
Yes.
It was a clear-cut measurement of where he was at in life, where he was at his career, and where he was at emotionally. And I feel like you could definitely, just by tracking where he is, like with the hair, you could almost just like follow the arc of his career, I feel like. So, like, could I say the same for Brendan Fraser? Does the hair matter as much to Fraser as it did to Travolta?
The hair does not matter in the same way it mattered for Travolta.
Right.
It all depends if you still want to do it.
But then what else? What is there that matters to Fraser?
Like abs. No, that's not it.
No.
Because that would just be strange.
No, that would be strange. But like, I don't know. Like maybe... Question, Jeff.
Yes.
Does Brendan Fraser cry in every movie?
I don't think he cries in every movie. He does have a good cry, though.
He does have a good cry.
The cry ranking?
To be continued, ladies and gentlemen.
So for right now, do we want to say it's a hair ranking?
Let's call it a hair ranking for now.
Yes, and then we'll think about this.
I'll think about this because I'm not convinced that there isn't a movie where Brendan Fraser doesn't cry.
We'll see. I mean, I don't think he cries in the next one we're covering.
Oh, you're right.
I mean, the second movie, we're already falling short.
Well, the second movie, he kind of does cry though, because he gets punched in the face.
He does get punched in the face.
I mean, to be continued.
Brendan Fraser goofball count?
I don't know if.
I mean, he yells a lot. Yell ranking? No, we'll think about it.
We'll think about it.
But for right now, it's a hair.
For now, it's a hair ranking,
yes.
but to be changed in the future. Okay. So that was Brendan Fraser. I mean, great performance. I thought it was amazing. Oscar worthy.
Yes.
Definitely take off his career.
Yes. It's fine. He's in one shot.
Yeah.
He looks good. But yeah, that's I think the
that's the movie.
Yeah. So usually we have like a post track for this movie. For movies. Much like with Late Travolta, I don't have anything for this. This aired on TV. USA Network.
You mean to tell me Brendan Fraser was not handed the book of Dianetics on the set of this?
He was not handed the book of Dianetics on the set. Thank God.
Is Brendan Fraser religious at all?
I believe he is. He has faith. Let me check on this.
I'm gonna Wikipedia this.
I already got it up.
Yeah.
There's nothing on his. I mean, there's some quotes about him about how he prays for guidance, but I don't think he's like necessarily a super devout Christian of any way.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't open up about his faith a lot, it seems like. But that being said, I don't have anything about the aftermath of this movie. It comes out. Fraser is in it. He gets more work after this. And then the movie doesn't really go on to do anything.
Yeah.
I think that's basically it. This is the first episode. It's the beginnings. So I just wanted to, this episode's more so about establishing Fraser as a person than it is talking about this movie. Mm-hmm. This movie's kind of just the vessel to accomplish that.
Yeah.
So do you have something? You look intrigued by something?
Well, I just I looked up a website and it says he's Jewish, but he doesn't practice Judaism. So, but that's just one website. I can't substantiate that claim. And then there's a second website who says, yeah, Judaism. So that, but again, maybe he's Jewish, but he is not like a practicing Jew. So I'm not sure. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
Gotcha.
Because I mean, we're getting to our second celebrity, and from Travolta on day one, we knew what he was.
Yeah. Remember, there was like a brief moment where we're like, oh, should we do Tom Cruise next? And then we're like, okay, we just be pigeonholing ourselves into covering Scientologists. Let's not do that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe we'll get to Cruise Control somewhere down the line.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. But I think that's it. Stuart, any final thoughts on Child of Darkness, Child of Light?
I would have liked to have seen more Palpatine electrocutions and Josh Lucas. More Josh Lucas. Sailor Ward was good. I liked Sailor Ward. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this movie, Jeff.
Yeah, I think that's all I have to say as well. So with that, I'll say thank you folks for listening to the first episode of The Fraser's Edge. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you'll join us on this new journey into the soul of Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
Make sure to tune in next week for an episode on Dogfight.
Yes.
A movie that is significantly better than this one.
Significantly.
Yes. I like Dogfight.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, that's it. Thank you, as always, for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. As a reminder, Travolting is still our name, but Fraser's Edge is our game, and we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. You can pop to our Reddit, r/Travolting. It's very funny that still exists. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at TravoltingPod. Email us travoltingpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks, as always, to Rebecca Johnson for our graphic design and Michael Van Bergen Smith for our new theme song that is currently playing you out. And that's it. Thanks for listening, folks, and enjoy your week.
And always remember, fuck White Castle.
Quick thing. Yes, fuck White Castle.
Okay.
Folks, we are Fraser Fridays now. So just keep that.
Oh, yeah, this episode came out on a Friday,
yes.
Which I hope wasn't a surprise to folks.
Yes.
Because we are Fraser Friday.
Yes.
All right.
Fuck White Castle.
Fuck White Castle. Bye.